Mike's already on. Okay. Just left something. It's fine.
I'm going to yell at you, Kevin.
I'm not wearing all black.
No, I can't be.
All right. Let's meet you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Fry,
Present.
Keating,
Present.
Snellings,
Present.
Bikeman,
Present.
Garacki,
Present.
Price, Behrens,
Here.
Drum.
Here.
7.
First up, we have approval of minutes.
Move approved minutes, regular meeting, February 13th, 2023 is written.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have public, 5-minute public comment. Is anybody here for 5-minute public comment? Is anybody here for 5-minute public comment?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good evening. I am Karen Hughes and I live in Ward 2. Number 3 of this evening's discussion items is brought to you by the Marysville Convention and Tourism Committee. In February of 2022, the idea of a permanent story walk along the trail in City Park was brought to the council and unanimously approved. In March of 2022, the City Council voted again unanimously to donate $1,000 to the story walk project that was funded in large part by a grant from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. The story walk project, consisting of 24 reading stations, was completed and opened in September of 2022. Combining the idea of reading and walking for children is creative and commendable. I've seen a number of children and adults using the trail and story walk through City Park. However, I am very concerned for the safety of the children that use the story walk. Story walk station number 17 is located 26 feet from disc golf basket number 1. And story walk station number 9 is only 25 feet from disc golf basket number 5. Children are standing at reading stations mere feet away from disc golf baskets that are there for the sole purpose of fast-flying discs being thrown at them. Did no one on the council or the Parks and Rec Committee even consider the danger? The Convention and Tourism Committee is asking the council to relocate disc golf basket number 4 for safety concerns. That request should be expanded to also include relocating disc golf baskets number 1 and basket number 5. It should further be expanded to include relocating disc golf basket number 2 due to the fact that number 2T is located on the opposite side of the street, resulting in objects being thrown into a street, which is obviously not safe. The city has an obligation to ensure the safety of people that use City Park, especially small children along the story walk. Before any permanent locations are decided for the disc golf course, the city has an obligation to assess whether the disc golf baskets are placed at locations that guarantee no risk to others. The city has a responsibility to have an experienced disc golf designer evaluate the safety of the entire disc golf course. At present, the disc golf course in City Park is not a desirable course. Relocating the disc golf course to a single-use area with adequate space would be a huge improvement. At the last council meeting, the city administrator informed the council about the opportunity to apply for a Kansas Sprint grant for tourism-centric projects, and also stated that we could submit an application for the 7th Street corridor using the information already paid for by the city the CES has assembled. CES description of project components reads, the city of Marysville proposes to make the final half-mile connection to link the Blue River Trail and the Central Business District. This connection will facilitate the area's economic growth, promote healthy tourism, enhance pedestrian safety, and enable trail users access to the downtown amenities. The estimated 7th Street Corridor project cost is $3,319,224.31. $3.3 million is what the City of Marysville could possibly receive in a full grant. No matching funds required. What a blessing that would be for our city. This is what troubles me. How will the Kansas Department of Commerce approve a $3.3 million grant that is to connect the Blue River Trail to our City Park Trail that is unsafe due to a disc golf course that is literally on top of the City Park Trail? It would be very disappointing to our city if failure to ensure city park safety resulted in losing an opportunity for a $3.3 million grant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else for 5-minute public comment? Yes?
Here's all that stuff passing around. Thank you.
Jesse Edwards, Enan's Automotive. Just came in really honestly to make sure with the 7th Street Corridor that these are in fact preliminary drawings that were handed to us. We really never have seen anything like it. And so I just wanted to make sure it was preliminary because I have a lot of concerns with some of the blocking of parking ways and etc. that are in this, especially in the first block from Highway 36 to Carolina Street. Really, we need to do something about this 7th Street corridor. I just want the council and everyone to just have more transparency, please, with us as business owners, because this really is affecting our livelihood. We get a lot of truck traffic through this area on a regular basis, unloading in trucks. I am all for this deal. I'm tired of washing my car every day because of the wind that blows the dust and everything else. But I just want to work together with you guys to make it right in that first block, okay? That's really it.
Somebody talked to you when they drew up those plans?
No. We have had conversations in the past about doing something, but this last Wednesday was the first time I'd ever seen any plans like this.
And the plans you have are for 2022?
It says January of 2022 on the
It goes
bottom.
back to the original.
But CES supposedly talked to everybody, it was my understanding. All the business owners.
I talked to Mr. Welch when he originally was coming forth to present getting the initial funding, and talked and went outside and worked with him on some areas and said, hey, I would be willing to do this with my parking area, etc. But then I know that we went ahead forward with the grant, but many of us other business owners have never seen anything like this. Now, I see a lot of different stuff in the daytime, so I could have forgot, but I don't think these guys had seen it either. So so closing off some of my driveway, for instance, I can speak on for these guys too on that. There's just that's a lot of issues. So that's it. That's all I got. If you have any questions, you know where I'm at. I pretty much live there. So, yep.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else for 5-minute public comment? Okay. We'll move on to business and discussion then. First up, we have the Custer House Museum heaters maintenance schedule and asking about a water hydrant. Oh, Sharon's. Oh, she is here. Okay. Yep.
Well, I just wanted to see if you have made any progress on getting the radiators, getting some heat. We really are having things that are coming up that we need heat in the house, and it's been 2 years now. And I just want to know whether we're gonna get it, in time to clean up the place, because it's in disarray because the radiators have all been moved around and there's a lot of dirt and, all of that.
Did you receive my last email telling you about the one you told us about Dr. Dunsing?
About the what?
Dr. Dunsing, who had the radiators?
Yeah, you told me that you'd looked at it.
Yeah. So we went down, actually got it back to town, which, I forget, the seals need to be replaced, but otherwise it's a good radiator. It's our last radiator that needs to make sure the seals are sealed up and the sandblasted and painted. So that
I take it it's a short one then?
it's a short one, yes. We were lucky he had it. It matched not the existing one, but some of the other ones we replaced. It matches the new ones. So that was a fortunate find. We had to wait till the ground froze because it was in a calf shed, or a calving shed, not a calf shed, because those little ones. But so that's our last piece.
Okay, so would it be, will we have heat within a week now that you have it?
It all depends on getting it sandblasted, painted, and then organizing for the contractor to come back.
So probably not within a week, is what you're saying.
That's what
Will it be within 2 weeks? Can you give me some, I mean, really, it's been 2 years. And, you know, what can we do? It's,
Is the contractor the holdup? Is that the biggest question mark?
We got to make sure the seals are done. I mean, it's really, we pressurized it, and it held 50 pounds for like 2 hours, but you could still, when you sprayed it down, you could see the micro bubbles coming out around the seals. That was a challenge, getting those pieces. I don't even know if you've got the pieces all off yet, but that was one issue. We've always had good luck getting it in to get it sandblasted. We'd always had good luck working with Schrollers and getting it painted.
have you talked to Schrollers again? Do they have it on their schedule?
I don't know if it's on their schedule.
They talked to me and said they were gonna bring one over.
Right, that's the extent of the conversation. Yeah.
So I mean, I understand there's a lot of question marks, but there's always levers that can be pulled to make things happen. Is it a money issue? Is it a personality issue? What's it gonna take?
Have you talked to the plumber again, the contractor?
Yes, that's our next step. It's actually to get those seals fixed. We were going to have Hanover come and look at it and see what they recommended. The other day, last week, Will was talking about how he was supposed to come up and look at it. I don't know if he made it up, but that's the last I've heard about it.
You say he, you mean Hanover Electric?
Yes. So
there's still not, when we have a classical guitarist coming to town to do a concert in our facility, can we think we'll have heat in a month? Or even in a week or 2 weeks so we can clean it up and get ready?
I can't give you a date. If you're asking for a promise, I can't promise you anything. Just like with everything else. I'm sorry.
Well, it just seems like, if you don't know whether you've talked to Stroller, you don't know whether Stroller's going to do it today or tomorrow. You don't know whether the plumber's going to be here today or tomorrow.
Well, first, before we spend any money on sandblasting or getting it painted, we need to find out if we can get it repaired so it's not leaking. That's the first step.
And does the plumber have to come before to do that then?
You'll have to take a look at it and see.
We couldn't get the parts off that we could do ourselves. And there was an idea of how to seal it up, but we didn't want to seal it up the wrong way. So that is where the plumber comes in.
So we're waiting on the plumber right now. That is the current stuff.
Yes.
And when is that plumber When do we expect that plumber? And how do we get that plumber to give us a time? I mean, here's the thing, like, I understand our frustration, and, I mean, I think we're even all frustrated with it, but, like, if we need to lean on something or induce something, I mean, to speed things up, tell the plumber, look, lean on them. This is, this is how it works. If you have a problem, you lean on the person above you, and then it just keeps going. The buck has to stop somewhere. So what?
Well, when it's the top guy at Hanover, that's the person we're leaning on, that's the person we're talking to. But everybody's got to realize they have a job themselves. I mean, they got a livelihood that they're not going to drop everything for us.
I mean,
But they
isn't this their
probably-
job?
It is.
I mean, I'm
Well,
not
no,
trying to be
no,
a
no.
jerk here, but
No,
like,
actually-
literally,
It is and it isn't. This is weird stuff. Believe me, they're doing us a favor
here's
to
what we
work
do.
on this
Let's pay them
system.
double market rate and get to the front of the line. Let's just,
It
honestly, at
doesn't
some
work.
point-
It doesn't work that way.
there's somebody who.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't with me. I've got a list,
and
and I mean,
Sometimes it works best to go out of town to Kansas City and places like that.
That's what I'm saying. There's-
And get a job.
throw the money
Have
somewhere to
somebody
make it
that
happen.
knows what they're doing, that works on that stuff on a daily basis to come up and
And-
look at this stuff.
and
I'm
that
sorry,
probably
instead of
would have been.
bouncing around here with their local contractors.
But when this first started, I think we did reach out to some of them in Kansas City, around, and we couldn't find anybody that wanted to come. I
I mean,
mean,
how about
it's-
Omaha? How about Wichita? How about Grand Island? How about St. Louis? How about Oklahoma City? Like, literally, if I need to come down and help make phone calls, I'll start cold calling people too. I do it all day. Let's just find somebody to get it done.
Well, I'm a believer in people like Hanover Electric. I think they do a great job, and they know what they're doing, and we don't have to go to Omaha or anyplace else.
But they're so
But-
busy, there's just so many contractors for this whole
But
area.
this isn't their fault. This is our fault, that we're not, that we didn't do this a year ago.
You're right.
It is a true point.
I mean, 150 years it worked.
Yeah.
Now it's broke.
Yeah.
So
It's broken because it wasn't maintained.
That's not true.
That's
That's-
not true, that froze.
Yeah, but I would think you would be checking it and know when it was going to freeze.
And that's what I would like to know is why when it was cold that week, nobody was going over there and checking on it, that it was, I mean, it should have been caught earlier before it did all the damage.
And I still maintain somebody shut the boiler off. They had to shut the boiler off.
No,
don't think they
it
ever-
would go off from time to time, and Dave Richardson would call Charlie Ohm, and he would come down and he'd say, "It's dirty." And I cleaned it up and now it's going. And, you have to maintain things, which brings me to another subject tonight. I had asked a few weeks ago if you had a printout of a maintenance schedule. And if you don't have a maintenance schedule, how do you, prevent this kind of thing from happening? You do in your home, surely. And I would like to see a printed maintenance schedule and see it followed.
Well, if we converted the central heat and air, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If we converted the central heat and air, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Well, about 9 years ago, we had a study done of the museum, and some architects and engineers and lots of people looked at it and recommended that we get a new boiler. Because, no, there's nothing wrong with the old boiler, but they want you to get one that's environmentally sound and good for the environment. And, that's not been done. And now I'd like to see you look at getting a new. And someone told me that it wouldn't work with our system, but I don't think the engineers and architects who recommended that would have recommended it if they didn't think it would work on our radiators.
Well, I mean, what you've got is a gravity flow system. It's not really a forced system with a pump. So it predates, I mean, before they really had a lot of electricity and a lot of pumps and stuff. It's not a modern system where it has a pump that's circulating it through there under a little bit of pressure.
Well, I have an old
It
system with
basically
old
just heats
radiators,
and rises and falls on
it's
its
not,
own.
it's old, but you know,
Do you have circulating pumps that circulate the water
I
through
have
it?
a pump that goes out of
For
my
this one's
boiler and up,
different.
and sends the water through the radiators.
And that's what we had. We had two pumps. One went each way and
Mm-hmm.
circulated the water.
Well, anyway, when I suggested that we look at, or at least get an estimate on what a new one would cost, one that the government out now is offering huge grants to homeowners and people who are upgrading to more efficient systems to save our environment. And this would be the time to do it. But I was just told, oh, no, it wouldn't work with ours. Well, I don't believe that.
It would work with, I mean, a lot of modification. You wouldn't be able to just.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to just set it in there where the old boiler is and have it work.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but why don't we get an estimate and see what it would
We could. I will say, I mean, and I'm just telling you, this is a guy that works on the stuff. If you're gonna replace it, I love more efficient stuff, but if you're replacing it because you think it's gonna be more reliable or break down less, new stuff breaks down a lot more than old stuff did. And there's almost nothing on that old one to break. I mean,
Yeah, but there's always
very
an
simple
excuse
system.
for you not moving ahead.
No.
And we can't just, not do things because of something that might happen.
So on the maintenance schedule, is there an argument against having a maintenance schedule?
No, I think it's a good idea to have somebody come every year and check it out, but that doesn't mean it's not, I mean, look, you can go look at a unit, it's just like your car, you can have a mechanic check it out, and the next day, something go wrong with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
we know that, but without any checks or
No,
balances.
it needs to be checked out yearly.
I mean,
It
to be
was
honest,
working because somebody turned the light switch off. It was actually a switch that was,
Well, that's what they think might have
that's
happened.
what happened.
And that, I mean,
Or maybe the burner was dirty.
well, I mean, but in general, if it wasn't this problem, some other problem, I mean, a maintenance schedule helps you catch things. It's a minimal, to me, it's a minimal amount of effort to help make sure you catch a lot of things. I mean, do we have maintenance schedules for other facilities? Like, I mean, maybe the library does, I don't know, they run their own railroad. But it feels like that's the kind of thing we don't have to have on every single facility, but probably be good for almost every single facility. Just, annually, oh, it's that time of year, let's check, and you go down your list. and-
realistically on that unit, there's not a lot. I mean, make sure the burner's not dirty and probably clean the pilot and maybe change the thermocouple. I mean, that's,
The switch is turned
But
off.
that would be
yeah,
okay.
and make sure this.
That would be
yeah,
okay
it's on.
to do.
Yeah.
I mean, those things you say could be done if
Oh, yeah,
they
I
were
mean, the
checked on every
thermocouples are-
year or every fall
Yeah.
or something. And a maintenance schedule for the whole facility would, maybe somebody could come once or twice a year and clean the gutters. There are weeds growing out of the roof. And it's a roof that we just spent thousands of dollars on a few years ago when we restored the house. And, it just seems like we really need to get on that maintenance schedule for more things than the furnace for the whole facility. I wanted to ask you too if it would be all right with you if I asked the plumber about an estimate on getting some faucets in the west yard of the museum.
We're gonna add a faucet on that west side of the house, like we said last time.
Okay, just one.
Yeah, the only place you could put it, on the side of the house,
And when would you do that?
when they come back to the house.
Wh-
Well, we wanted to do it when it wasn't freezing, obviously, and get it
Sure.
charged and all that stuff, but,
Right.
that would be when they come back to the house. We want a one-stop trip.
Okay. Okay, well, you still can't give me any idea when we might be able to start cleaning up the place and getting ready for company, right?
How much more work have they got to do?
They gotta install the radiators.
Okay.
Yeah, once we get that radiator painted,
Yeah, and who's going to install the radiators?
Hanover Electric.
The plumber?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
Could you at least ask them how long it would take from by the time you get the radiators back to
Yes.
have them give you a time frame how long it would take?
Yep, yes, I can.
Well, and you did mention the possibility, if you can't get that one in the dining room that you're working on now, of cutting that out of the system temporarily.
Well,
so we
actually,
can get
it would
some
be, it would actually be a bridge, basically.
Oh,
Those
whatever.
temporary fins.
Yeah, you just put
They're gonna be a stack of 3 fins that would heat the space. It wouldn't look pretty, but it would be something to keep heat in that part of the house.
So the other radiators wouldn't be operating?
No, all the rest of the house would be operating, yes. It would just be, that one just didn't have the classic radiator. It would have a different style in there.
What does
and
what does it mean, it wouldn't be pretty?
It wouldn't
I
be
mean-
pretty.
Look
would-
ugly.
Well,
It would look ugly, yes.
but where will that be, that it's not gonna be?
So, what do we have to do to this radiator that we need to get blasted and painted and
It
sealed up?
we gotta make sure it's sealed. That is legitimately
But
the
before
only
we
thing.
blast it and paint it?
Yes. We gotta make sure, we can get those seals in there, and then you blast it, and then you paint it.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah, no,
Thank you.
Schroller's has been great, and Landell's has been great. I mean, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're fine.
Yeah.
I just think that we just have one excuse after another and it goes on and on and on for.
I'm going to piggyback for sure, because
I
when she
don't know if
mentioned a
they're-
classical guitarist, we're paying for the classical guitarist. I'm speaking as president of the Marshall County Arts Cooperative in 1 month. And no one has said, if we're going to have a concert there in a month, and I want to know tonight because we're about to buy a whole series of advertising, and I don't want to spend a whole bunch of advertising with inaccurate information. So in 1 month, will we be able to have a concert at the Kester House, yes or no?
If it was up to me, I'd tell you no.
We would prefer an answer,
We prefer to have it there.
absolutely.
I would too, but
We
I
like to
can't
have-
guarantee you what the plumber's got lined up, Wayne, so at this point, without knowing anything, I would say plan on no.
Right. And this was the first, actually, last week was the first we've heard anything was scheduled at the Kester House at all.
Oh, no, oh, no,
No.
Yeah.
oh, no. I've said it here at these meetings
That's
that we
correct.
have things coming up in March.
Things coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Council, this is
does that
this is
mean any-
disappointing to say the least.
Right.
That these
I mean, this
excuses
isn't
have
the
been
first
shared
you've
to
heard of
her
this.
at all.
believe me.
All right, next up, we have the holiday lighting, Chamber Main Street building. Stacy. Hello.
Good evening. So I'm here tonight to ask your consideration. Our organization has budgeted for 2023, and we are operating on a very thin, tight budget. We received some estimates for to put the white lights on the chamber office building downtown to match the other businesses that are contributing to this effort in hopes to take it back to what it looked like 20 years ago. Our board feels very strongly that since we are represented downtown, that our building should be included, but we don't have the funds. So we're coming to ask if the council would consider making that happen. So I think in the letter that I provided you, to outline the building from the front and the sides would be a total of 140 feet at an estimated cost of $9.95 per foot, would be a total of $1,393. And I believe that Convention and Tourism plans to order in March. Is that correct, Mandy?
Our deadline was December 1st, so
Okay.
the sooner the better.
How, what's the life expectancy of these lights? Is it expecting to last a couple years or
40.
5 years? How old? 40 years. Is there any maintenance associated with that?
The lights that are up right now were put in the 1980s.
Thank you, Mandy.
About 4 years. I think it's our building. I think, you know, if we're encouraging this for all downtown, then we've got to step forward as well. So move to approve the request for $1,393 for lights.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up. Say Mandy with the,
Hello.
Mandy?
I sent you a letter about the disc golf course. The Convention Tourism Group, before actually I was on Convention Tourism, so I've been on there for about 2 years, voted to pay for a sign that has a map and some information about disc golf, with the disc golf course in the Marysville City Park. And unfortunately, it just hasn't been completed. And we've been kind of chasing it for a while. I know Kyle really worked on it for a while, and we've been working with him, as is shown in the letter, to be able to get this completed. We're ready to get it done or get it out, honestly. So you can see the letter. Our suggestion or request is that we request the basket, hopefully assisted by you all, but also Kyle, to be moved by April 1st. And then Michelle is actually working on, and Michelle and Maureen, actually Maureen Chris, are working on signs and a map and a design to make sure that everything looks really nice and welcoming, and make sure that people can know where to go as they are playing the disc golf course.
And I had, I believe, spoken with Maureen probably late December sometime, and we discussed that this coming spring to move that basket probably a little bit further northwest, just to avoid any errant discs going to Nick's yard, basically. Yeah, and I should be able to move that no problem. I have a follow-up for my shoulder surgery, so I should be released for, hopefully, fingers crossed, for more than 25 pounds. Once I get that green light, and with some good stretch of weather, I should be able to replace that. So yeah, I don't foresee that as being an issue.
Okay.
So yeah, I can handle that.
Our thoughts were for the tee boxes were to have a stencil that we could use on the sidewalk, so that way we don't add one more thing. And then for the tee boxes that are off of the sidewalk, that we thought maybe we could even sink paving stone and put the stencil on it. So that way, again, no problems with mowing or adding more things on that sidewalk. So that is what we are pursuing, as long as Kyle is okay with that, and of course you all are as well.
I'd say let's just kind of turn this over to the Park and Rec Committee and let them go down there and review baskets 1, 2, and 5, and just think about what could happen and what extent of that, you know, just kind of review it overall.
Yep. Can we have like a date in which we can have that done by, just so that way we can, I mean, can we say that reviewing plus moving the baskets, if chosen to do so, can all be done by April 1st?
I wouldn't think that'd be a problem.
Okay.
So I can probably have Kent start looking at locates just to make sure there's nothing under there that I'd hit. But yeah, I mean, I can probably speak with him in the next couple days to have him, if I go spray paint down there where we think we want it, that way we can get a radius of where the locates need to be, just to make sure that everything would fit and not impede anything.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind being communicative with Maureen and Michelle then as well, to get that map updated, so that way we can get everything all taken care of.
I think if we set up a Parks and Rec committee meeting, obviously we'd keep you guys in the loop with that. So
perfect.
Well, we could probably go ahead and move number 4.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything out in that field. Obviously, I want to make sure, but yeah.
Okay.
I would say just looking from the outside, because I'm not going to play disc golf. I might someday, but it looks pretty safe to me, and I would just say move forward with it.
So April 1st, and then we will work on getting the sign then done by that time. We did ask that the installation of the sign was done by you. We'll pay for the sign if you install it. Is that okay?
All of them or the little one?
Just the, well, I think the spray paint one is going to be a stencil. Like, I really do think it's going to be, so, so just the, like the big one. I think. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna stay right here.
On that for the city help to move them before, or?
Well, I mean,
We
we're having,
already have that in minutes from before about moving basket number 4 in April of '22.
next is the partnership director of C&T and director of communications.
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
So communication, I think we've heard a little struggle with it this evening, but it's not a new word, it's not a new struggle, but in this post-pandemic digital age, it's becoming more and more important. If you were able to attend the leadership training that we had a couple Saturdays ago, you might have noticed, that a few of the things that were talked about, and one of the biggest things that was talked about was communication amongst the groups themselves, but definitely between groups, two different groups, from organization to organization. So according to the Australian Institute of Business, communication is effective for 6 reasons, including good communication builds and maintains relationships, it facilitates innovation, it builds effective teams, managing employees is easier, it promotes growth of the organization, and effective communication ensures transparency. As you look at the letter and the job description that was submitted to you, I'd like to highlight 2 of those points that we think are in direct correlations of hiring a director of convention and tourism and communication. Communication builds and maintains relationships, and it supports growth of the organization. I am sure that it is not easy being a council member or the mayor, so thank you for your time and your effort to be up there while I'm down here. But if we were to take this job description and refine it for both of our needs, convention and tourism and the city, we will create a position that will build and maintain relationships. It's no secret that Marysville is a great place to live, but we think that communication from to the residents from the council would strengthen the feeling of ownership and pride about our town. But C&T would also like to focus on the second point, how communication supports growth of the organization. We are so excited to have a great place to live, and we just need to tell people about it. There are many things going for this small town that other small rural towns don't have, but we just need to make sure that people know. A director of C&T would do that. So since the skill sets of these 2 positions are so similar, getting a director for both and keeping them is our goal, and we think we can do it. We imagine this person to be able to help with many situations, including tracking tourism numbers for grant purposes, or assisting with writing grants, or publicizing our unique and fun events. We imagine this partnership between the City of Marysville and Marysville Convention and Tourism to grow our town into a bigger, brighter place. So you have my letter, you have the job descriptions, and I would love to hear your questions.
Do you know of any other communities who've combined these kinds of positions?
You know, Wayne did some of that. Do you know if there are specific ones?
Not combined this way.
No, and
Curious.
Sure, and I think that from our partnerships before, all of us split amicably, but we just realized that there were just too many things that were different that they were trying to do on part-time salaries. And so with this, when it's all doing the same thing, so it is a little different. It is a little different. It's a little unique. Marysville's a little unique.
So have the other...
What were some of the reasons you were given that when directors leave that we can't retain them for a long period of time?
That is a great question. And the 2 things, I was on the convention and tourism group that hired Toby, so I can't speak for Michelle. She might be able to speak if you had questions for her. But the number 1 thing was benefits. And you could see in our proposal that we would pay for the salary for 2 years, and then the city would pay for benefits. And then after 2 years, we'd like to split. That's number one, for sure. You know, you start talking about 42 to 45, that sounds like a great salary until you start taking out all the other stuff that you have to pay. The other one, for sure, Toby is still working from Newton for the Pony Express barn, which is amazing. They've taken some of his ideas and really run with it with their new employee and their board. But it is totally different. Curating museum is totally different than tourism. And I thought, when we were first planning this, that because it's one of the biggest draws, tourism draws in Marshall County, I was like, that's easy, it's the same thing. It is not. And he just felt like he wasn't able to give 50% to convention and tourism and 50% to the Pony Barn. It was too different.
So if you feel like if we take care of that number one reason, that they may stick around much longer than...
I do. I think benefits are huge. And personally, City of Marysville employee here, our benefits are good. Our benefits are good. Yeah.
Under this, as you propose it, who would they report to? I mean, I know they report to the council and, you know, convention tourism, but like, you know, you get a lot of people with different ideas, with diverse groups, and all of a sudden that person gets pulled in a lot of different directions.
You bet. And that's a great question. The awesome thing about that is Mr. McNish and the Pony Board and Convention and Tourism sat down and kind of hashed some of that type of stuff out. Granted, obviously, it would change a little bit, council versus Pony Barn, but we already have a good start on maybe figuring out how that would work. If I remember right, because it's been a little bit since I've looked at that, I believe there was a Convention and Tourism and a Pony Barn member that were kind of theoretically it would be the president, would be the reporting. And then if there were issues, then in that document, I believe we were gathering a bigger group to be able to do something about it, whatever it was.
So where do you foresee this person being headquartered out of?
That is the best question yet, and let me tell you, we're not quite sure yet. And I think that I would dream of maybe, being somewhere downtown. We have a couple of options, we have a couple of thoughts, but we really haven't decided that yet. I think that if you have suggestions, we would be more than happy to take them. But there are a couple of open buildings downtown. There's a couple of people who are maybe thinking about either building something new or might have some office space open. We haven't honestly, we kind of needed to get this done, the okay to go forward before we thought too much more about that.
Who would pay for this facility, I guess? Or?
Again, great question. It depends on where it is. Who we're going with. I don't know that yet.
Have there been any conversations with other, we'll say, similar types of organizations, whether that's Chamber Main Street, MCDC too, about how, they could interact with this person and kind of the division of roles? I was at the leadership training, and one of the takeaways that I had before I went into that, and this kind of thing brings it out again, is we have a lot of different programs and things going on in town, some of them under the auspices of organizations that may or may not make a lot of sense. And there's some realignment that could be in place there.
Absolutely.
And could this be a time to help shuffle some of that?
You're kind of speaking our language here.
Okay, well.
I do also think that you can see in the crowd that there are some convention and tourism members. Bruce from MCDC couldn't be here, but he is in support. We've talked to the Chamber and Main Street. We've talked to different business leaders that we think that might think that this is a good idea. People who have also had some previous experience either on Convention and Tourism or Chamber and Main Street. Ashley Crott, or again, like Michelle Weitzel, since she's been one of these positions before. We've really talked to some other people outside of our organization to make sure that we don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to make anybody mad. That's not our goal. Our goal is to figure out a position that makes everything better and to relieve some of the stress relieve some of the things that Stacy is having to do because we don't have a director. I mean, all of that type of stuff. We're really trying to work together with the people that we already have in place.
So would you, or maybe it was in here and I missed it, would this be something you would think that you would sign them to like an annual contract, or is it purely more of like an at-will employment situation?
Well, I would say that I mean, I think that they're going to be a city employee because they'd have to have benefits, yeah. So
okay.
I do think that it would, that it wouldn't be
Kinda what I
contract.
figured, but-
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say, was if it's gonna be a city employee with city benefits, then it's,
So,
they follow the same policies.
what I would say is that, yes, I'm one of the original members of this whole thought process of the direction we want to go, but I was a little surprised to see that this presented the way it is right now. I appreciate it. I think take baby steps first and make sure we have everybody on board.
Yeah.
And not just somebody presenting it to me. I'd like to talk to some of the other groups. But I appreciate the direction you're going.
So what do you, like, what do you mean?
I will, this, and I'll come to the defense. They've been working on something like this.
Yeah, I
trying to
know.
partner up for the last however many years. This is probably a logical step to, hey, it's good to ask for the big picture, if it is indeed the big picture, or maybe it's ask for the moon, maybe it's that, or maybe it is the right direction, but they've been working on how to solve their director problem.
And I agree with that, but before we get into where we're gonna be, where we're gonna go, those kind of things, we gotta make sure everybody's on board, in my opinion. I mean, 100% on board.
And I don't think I mean,
Because
it's,
if you get that one group that says, no, I don't want to give up this, MCDC, we gotta.
Yep, and I understand that, and that's part of the reason why we did. I mean, we called all of you.
Sorry.
You're good. We called all of you to make sure that you weren't, you know, thank you. I'm like, what's that word? We had conversations with a lot of people. Now, we haven't told everybody, but honestly, we wanted to make sure that we could move forward. You know, to be honest with you, we have not had a director since June. Things have stopped. I mean, Stacy is great at answering the phones. I am answering emails a week late. You know, the website is not being updated. We need a director. So I don't disagree with you in the idea that we've had many conversations about how this could be changed. And I think that this, in our minds, is that step forward. Maybe things move and switch and change a little bit as we go further along. But we need a director. We are, tourism is a standstill. Through convention tourism, is it a standstill?
and maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I am, but I think that side of this position is a little more defined of what we need right away versus the city communication side, because that's kind of new.
For sure.
But when I first kind of looked at this, I mean, it's not super fleshed out in here what all that means for the city to have a communications director, but I think it could be pretty useful in helping everyone in this horseshoe, in this building, you know, govern. I think it's a tool that maybe it's time, it makes sense for us to have.
Well, it's not like the council or the staff don't communicate, but I have a feeling that most of them are worked to the bone. So my guess is that giving someone else part of that job might help relieve some of their pressure. We're not trying to step on toes, whether that's city workers or people out in the audience, you know, just
Todd.
Just Todd.
No, I preach it to my kids and I preach it at work and everything else that, you know, good news or bad news, communication. That's it. That's it, full stop. And I mean, I'm not saying it's going to increase constituent satisfaction having more communication from the city, but at least they'll have the information.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not necessarily asking for the moon tonight, as Austin put it. We're not asking for a vote if you're not ready to vote. I totally get that. What we're doing is just asking to open the conversation. We would love to sit down to talk to a couple of you, or however that works with COMA. I'm always not sure. But just to talk about this, because we really took some of these director of communications things from other websites. They may not fit us, but we want your input. If you're interested in pursuing this, like, we want you to be on board.
Are there any challenges as far as the benefits side to bringing this position on as a city employee with some shared roles?
If you hire him as a full-time employee, it's that. You basically, we would have to define it in our books, a new title, a new all that stuff. As long as it's defined, just like every other position, it would just be figuring out in the budget.
I just know that we've, before with the insurance and things, they ask some questions when we get creative with some of this, so.
Right. No, if you create as a standard full-time employee,
okay,
there's no issues.
So where's the $42,000 to $45,000 a year come from?
If what Mandy said was correct, they were looking at the 42 to 45 coming out for the first 2 years out of convention and tourism, transient guest tax, and then benefits coming out of employee benefits. And then after that, as I understood it, splitting that salary between probably, somewhere in the rest of the budget. I won't put it in the corner just yet, and convention and tourism.
So 42 to 45,000 salary, what's that equate to our benefit side of it coming?
That's actually directly pulled from a city street worker, 1706 or something like that, times your full-time salary. So
if they have a family benefits, it'd probably be 27,000 or so.
Sure.
I figure a third to be good, to be safe about stuff. So 15, well.
It was 27,000 when I multiplied it out.
27,000, but
families are expensive.
Yeah, we usually charge double. So when something happens outside of it, we usually charge double to cover. So yeah, that sounds about right. To cover plus.
The same rules that we do.
Yeah.
Everything that's in our handbook, they would have to do exactly the same thing.
Yep.
They wouldn't have different rules. They can't have different rules.
Well, that's correct. But I would say that 27 to 30,000 would be a good safe figure to go into the employee benefits alone.
At risk of getting way down in the weeds, is this somebody who would come to council meetings and things as well, or no?
Good call.
Yeah.
Yes. As a communications, that would probably be prudent.
Like I said, I know that's maybe in the weeds, but that's also gonna put some extra time on their responsibilities.
Yeah.
I understand that.
That's good to know, yeah.
I guess my question was, what's the thought process behind paying the full amount out of convention tourism for the first 2 years and after that 50-50? I guess I'm just thinking, if the money is there in that particular line item, I guess why would we not pay the salary portion out of that, and then the $30,000 would come out of the
All the time, you mean? To dangle the carrot, honestly. That was the original idea. But I do think that, I'm hoping that, of course, once this person might get started, that there would be a continuing influx in the transient guest tax. But after all, if they're only doing 50% tourism, I guess it makes sense for me to split it. But again, that's all discussion to be had later on.
I think if anything, it could look different in 2 years. I don't know that we'd want to commit to X or Y in 2 years so much as for 2 years and then revisit. But because we like where they're going to be officed and things, there's still question marks and expenses there, and we don't know how it shakes out. And maybe you come back and you find the perfect candidate, but they won't do it for less than 48 or whatever. And so these numbers change. I think if we keep flexibility in pursuit now, I think that would be good.
Could this individual be a representative of our seat that we have on the Partnership for Growth?
That could be appointed.
To bring back
That
to
would
bring
be-
back to us? Could
Yeah.
the mayor maybe appoint this individual to be a, I don't know, just a
Well,
thought?
and that's, I mean, that's a good point. And after the class or the seminar a couple weeks ago, I mean, kind of takeaway I got from it was that all the different organizations, I mean, communication especially, and also specifically websites.
Yep.
They would like to have one site you could go to and you could basically see everything that was going on in Marysville and everything all these different groups were doing just from one place.
So this person
Now-
could be a rep of us for
Yeah.
the community.
I'd be a little scared of keeping too much on them right away.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, we're gonna run them ragged, or run them off.
But just a thought.
Let's not do
I
that.
think that goes back
Everything.
to Todd's flexibility comment. Be flexible, but I mean, I personally think this is a great way to move forward, to maybe draw from a larger pool of, people, if we can sweeten the deal to come and, continue to grow, and like that leadership class, that was, just build communication amongst groups.
So in our former, the people who filled the role before, when you discussed with them kind of the exit interview side, did you throw this kind of at them and been like, would this have been enough? Would this have enticed you? Toby or otherwise, like, would you have looked at the job differently if it had been this job versus what you actually had in front of you?
I can't really speak for them.
Sure.
Except for reiterating again, Toby is still working pro bono. I think that he would still be in Marysville if he could have made it
That's what
work. That's, again, I'm not speaking for him, but that's my impression.
Mandy, I'm fairly sure of that.
There we go. Somebody from the Pony Barn. Thank you, Charlie.
I know you said you're kind of, already behind the 8 ball and the calendars aren't updated. That's another thing that was discussed at that meeting.
Absolutely.
Was how important that is. Timeline, if this was, we said, yes, let's do it. When's your advertising timeline?
As soon as we have a yes and a go, that's our advertising start. I would say, honestly, right now, we're probably positioned fairly well to maybe catch somebody graduating out of college. So the earlier the better, the faster the better.
And if you found a good candidate, it may be somebody they can't take the role for a few months. We could.
Been doing it for about a year,
patchwork it
probably
on.
do it again for 9 months. So, again, not well, but I am doing it.
Well,
I guess I would ask for a motion. Ask.
Well, there's an idea that maybe, since you're not asking for an immediate answer, maybe the admin finance committee could talk a lot of this out. Since we're already assigning committees.
and bring it back next council meeting?
So I would ask for a motion.
I would take a motion if you give it to me.
I would ask for a motion that the admin and finance committee work with the convention and tourism group to come up with a plan and move forward with this.
All shareholder, or stakeholders
Yeah.
that make sense.
It's not just,
Yeah, no,
yes, everybody.
I think if we can get on this, that way there's no hurt feelings, there's no loss.
Good job.
So that's my ask for a motion. So moved?
Move. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So
All right, we'll set up a meeting.
Parker's the third person on the admin and finance committee.
Yeah, you'll be,
Half in a week. Okay, I thought it was
yeah,
2 weeks.
well,
Two.
I think it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He had 10 days, so.
But I thought he'd been gone for a while.
You just-
No, he
left
just,
Sunday.
yeah, he just went down there.
We'll
But,
figure
I
it
mean,
out.
if we have to, we're gonna do with 2, so.
Oh, wait, one thing. I heard that there might be some balloons for the 4th of July.
Well, Jeff,
Somebody tell me about that.
I'm so glad you asked.
Now that you're up here, because I can't ask you otherwise.
So, last year, a couple years ago, if you might remember that Toby had come and talked to you about doing some hot air balloons for our squirrel celebration. And timing-wise, it just didn't seem to work out. But we are pursuing that right now with the same people, and we would like to do it for the 4th of July. We did meet with him, with he and his wife, and they think they can fit 6 balloons down in the area that we have been talking about by Lakeview. So that way it still includes everything would be kind of all-inclusive. People could park and stay. They could go to the fireworks, they could see the hot air balloons, and see the band that MCAC is bringing in, as well as some food trucks and things like that to make it kind of a glow-up event. So
do council members get rides?
It's actually the 8th of July.
it is the 8th of July, yes.
That's what I
Yes.
wondered, if you're gonna do it the same date.
Yes. We actually decided that after was better, just because it avoids a lot of that type of stuff. But we will probably be coming back here real shortly with a funding request for that, because we would like to pursue that. And we think like, they were very excited, the KC Aerosparts, and just talking to them, it was very exciting, so.
And where are they from?
Kansas City.
Just out of curiosity, did they say what they're thinking for landing zone?
So actually, on Saturday night, which is July 8th, it's just a glow up. So they blow them up and they just float. Then on Sunday morning, there is rides available for purchase, and those are actual physical rides where you would get and you would go. But yeah, yeah. Okay.
Where do they sign up? Where do you sign up for a ride?
You will be first on our list to call. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I'm not going.
It's fun. It's amazing.
I'll watch from the ground.
Okay, next up we have policy A96, establishing guidelines for employee responsibilities and random drug alcohol testing.
Move to approve resolution 896.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Next up we have K Club.
One more time. I know, y'all just love seeing me, don't you? I am the Marysville High School K Club sponsor, and we are celebrating our 4th annual Mental Health Awareness Week. Usually we do this in March. This year, we're combining it with K Club Citizenship Week, which is usually in November, but unfortunately, when we planned that in November, the school kind of went, there were issues at the school. So we delayed that, and we're just combining them this year, and we would love a designation of an official K Club Citizen, or K Club Week, for March 19th through the 25th.
Someone make a motion?
Move to designate and allow the mayor to declare, I guess?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you so
very
much.
much. Okay, next up we have consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, any discussion about any of the items on there? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next up we have appropriations ordinance number 3792.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance 3792 in the amount of $271,580.87.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Fry,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Snellings,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yep.
Zaraki,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. Next up we have also with staff reports.
All right. First thing on my list is flush tank replacement project. We just opened the bids last week. Included is a bid tab, and on that bid tab is actually an engineer's estimate as well. We received 4 bids, and the lowest bid came from Jadwin Construction and Development out of Hiawatha. Their bid was $153,439. The engineer's estimate actually came in at $182,000, so it's came in below engineer's estimate. So this is for the flush tanks. It's all up in the north. This would be our last flush tanks, because I had them go searching the last section of of town that we needed lined. So this project should take care of
The
that.
bad part, there is no alleys here to go through to get to them.
No.
We're going through somebody's yard, we're gonna be removing fences.
Yes.
Et cetera, to get to these.
Yep. Yeah,
And
there's
tearing up
lots of
people's
obstacles.
yards.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll tear people's yards up doing it.
Yep.
It's not gonna be fun.
So do they replace the yard or do we replace the yard?
No, it's.
Well, we'd get the yard fixed. That should be a part of the project, the yard.
Heating and everything's in there.
So,
Yeah, I see seating.
yeah.
So do we have to take action, or?
Yes, vote on the low bid, or unless, yeah, but unless you want to do something else, but take a motion.
Move to approve Jadwin's construction development for 153, 438,
439.
39, sorry.
Yep.
I didn't get blown up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's for completion of this year.
Yes, they want it, they're chomping at the bit to get this one done. And in fact, they're looking for more projects, so.
Okay,
They
I'm
want
just
us-
wondering, you
they
know
want
how
us-
I am about dragging stuff out.
They want to stay in this area. So they're going to bid on other projects that come
And
up.
how far ahead of time will we notify the people up there in that area?
Okay. The second thing on my list are this year's conferences. I would have gotten this to you earlier, but the dates were not out yet. So the first is KCCM conference in Lawrence, the end of March 30th through 31st. The second is my ICMA conference in Austin, Texas, September 30th through the 4th, October 4th. And then the league annual conference, which everybody, I wouldn't be doing my job, everybody here is invited up to go to the league annual conference. It's a weekend, October 7th through the 9th. And then the last one is Kansas Association of City Managers Annual Conference in Dodge City, November 29th through the 1st.
Is the Austin one a fly or a drive?
That's a fly.
Is it close to Austin City Lights?
I have no idea, never been to Austin before.
What if we want to go to Austin? Can we go with you?
Yes.
Are you just going because it's your name? Can we ask more questions?
Yes, you can ask all the questions you want.
I move to approve Austin's request for his conferences for the upcoming year.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just wanted to say thanks for not doing anything super crazy like the ones in Maui or Orlando or whatever.
Wait, I'm holding those for later.
But Austin City Lights is really cool.
But to be honest, my conferences actually don't do the fun cities just because of that.
It's Austin.
Yeah.
The city
Oh wait,
administrators are
it's
boring.
Austin?
Yeah, city administrator conferences are supposed to be boring, so they don't go to Vegas, unlike like the police chiefs, because they don't work.
That would not be good.
But, okay. So was that approved?
I haven't had a vote.
yet.
All in
Okay,
favor, say aye.
Go for it.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 7-0.
I do, just in case you didn't see my report last week, exciting news. We're finally moving forward on the signs, on the wayfinding signs. KDOT approved, gave us a permit, and then I met with Brian with Apple One Media last week. He said he's optimistic to get started at the end of March, when the weather's more stable, I guess. So we should be able to get all the signs that we ordered all throughout town in one fell swoop. So that was exciting news to finally, after going through that whole permitting process. So that was good news to me. I wanted everybody to know that. So other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Any committee reports? First up, street. We had a street committee meeting last week. Kind of went over a couple of the different, interviewed and had discussions with the two different entities that had bid for that engineering for the project out there.
Can I take this one for a bit?
Yep.
We had two totally different proposals. One was for I'm going to say basically two 11-foot lanes of traffic and maybe some widening at 12th and Highway 36. The other proposal was very generous. It was probably more of a long-term thing for us. I don't think we're quite ready to go down that path yet. So I think the consensus of the committee is to accept the proposal from BG Consultants. And that would be for Keystone from 11th Road to 11th Terrace and Highway 36 to Timber Creek Drive at this point. So that's, I really appreciate both groups. Both of them came and gave us good ideas. They talked to us about the possible financing options that we have. I think we still have some more options. I really wanted to see us stay more in line with the access management plan because I think we would have had better opportunities there from KDOT, but I think that's, Kevin can argue with me or Kyle, but I think that's where we're at right now.
Well, I mean, the problem with the access management, I think, was just with the traffic study. There's not enough traffic out there.
But we got to remember that it wasn't just the travel study; it was safety too.
Right.
True.
So we can't hold up on that. So I
yeah.
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, I can see the benefit of doing the engineering just so that, say we have a cost sharing program become available like it has had in the past, that you have everything ready to go basically.
And there's different ways to look at it. One bid street overlay only. Mm-hmm. The other one bid 3-to-1 slopes going both ways, down and back up. A lot more design, a lot more work into it. So that wasn't our scope that we had. So
no.
The only thing I would say is just driving out there, because I drive out there a couple times a day. If whatever we do, there's a lot of properties that come down towards the road, and we still have to get that slope so that water's not coming towards that road, because it'll be a failure at that point. Yeah. So just, and I really think that we ought to look at a little bit of an easement to each property owner going down there and put a nice approach, concrete approach, if it's 3 foot wide, just so we know that what's coming to our road is sealed up good. I guess that's my thought, because that was one thing that the BG mentioned, that there was no plan for
stabilization.
Yeah, there's no plan for that approach going into the road. So, but no,
The other thing we need to look at too, Jeff, is the drainage up there on Keystone, because that wasn't addressed in his plan either.
No, but we should talk to the property owner to the east.
Well, yeah.
Because he might want to put a tube in, and then we dump into his tube, go to Lily Creek, and
like I said,
just a
it's
thought.
something that wasn't addressed in that I think if we're doing this project and spending that much money on it, that corner needs to be redone somehow. Tubes lengthened, I don't care what. But
I'm sorry, I'll shut up now, but I think corners like that corner should be a concrete corner. But I will say in public, we don't need concrete going down to that corner. Have good high traffic corners, but then the county has done a great job with asphalt going north on Oquito, and 95% of our state has asphalt. So I'll put it at that.
And like the engineer said, asphalt's a quick, good fix for right now. He says 20 years or 10 years or whatever. When traffic numbers get up and we need to do something, he said we can look at other stuff.
And it's like a vehicle after 10 years if you're not doing maintenance.
I understand that. done.
Yeah. My only thought after looking at all of it was I would like to find out how much extra it would cost to do the engineering from 11th Terrace to 12th Road. Just because in my mind, if we're doing all the engineering out there for that whole area,
Doing what?
from 11th Terrace to 12th Road on
Connecting the
Keystone.
gap.
Okay.
That half mile out there, basically. If we're doing the rest of the engineering and all the way south to that second drive and everything, I would,
While they're there.
well, while they're doing it.
I
mean,
think that might be a good time to do it right now, even if we
I
don't
mean,
do it
they're gonna be
for
there
5
doing the
years.
engineering and the same thing. If you have a cost sharing come up, then why wouldn't you throw that in there too? I mean, if you could get a match for
They're
it,
talking what?
or at least if
Wasn't
not.
it 10 inches, Jeff, of asphalt?
8
I think
inches.
that was
That's
aggressive, but, yeah, they're
By that same token,
6 is enough.
what about 11th Terrace down to Dawson? Because Dawson's a paved road inside city limits.
I know,
And that, I mean, to me, I like a loop.
No.
I like a loop,
yeah.
but I would rather see the people who live on Dawson Drive, who are Marysville resident taxpayers, get continuous asphalt to their concrete street than we go keeping them on gravel and then a bunch of free riders on Keystone get pavement.
Yeah, well.
I don't like free riders.
I know.
Pay for our concrete out there.
No,
I
not
think
those.
he's
No,
talking
no.
there, yeah.
These
I think
on
he's
Keystone.
talking-
Oh, Keystone Road.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Keystone between 11th Terrace
It-
and
Dawson
12th
Drive,
Road.
is that what you're saying, just from 11th Terrace to Dawson Drive?
Yeah, so that way it
Need to
connects,
talk to
like,
people.
Well,
look, no more
And I
paved
mean, we're just
islands.
talking the engineering right now, and
I know.
I think if we get further down and talk about doing it and borrow money and all that, then if we get serious, then that's when we need to start having a conversation about, who do we annex? Will there be specials? All those things. I think the engineering is just,
I know.
and I know I've argued kind of against it, and I don't know, my point was, I don't know why you would pay for engineering if you don't even know if you're gonna do it. But after the meetings, I can say that I can see the value in having the engineering there and ready to go. Hopefully it don't just sit in a drawer.
Especially a cost share deal, but
Yeah, so I can see the benefit to that. And I think if you were applying for, some grants or cost sharing, I think if you've got the engineering done instead of just something that you preliminary scribbled down, it would probably, I would think, help you in the application process, or they would, you'd look a little bit more serious maybe. So I can see that. And I can see his argument too about Dawson.
I mean,
But
that's-
and that's the problem, is where do you stop? Because
Well-
you start doing that, then you start talking, what about 8th Road? What about Jayhawk? What
right.
about-
I'm totally fine with that. I am totally fine with going,
It's,
wrap it into a bigger project, and it doesn't have to happen next year. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And I will say, I've been very emotional about this thought process, and I apologize if I offended anybody.
well,
No.
no, I mean, it's your road. Oh, if I was driving on, no, I don't mean, look, if I was driving on every day,
My
I
road
would
that,
be a little bit more
the people that voted me in.
Exactly, I mean, your ward, yeah, it's your ward. If I was driving on it every day, I would be probably,
and like I said, and I still, even though I think it's a great project, I still have a problem doing sections that we don't own both sides of the road.
I do
I'm
too.
sorry about
well, and
that.
that's,
Well, that's called annexation.
so that's a discussion
I'm
to
for
be.
that too, and that's what I was saying.
I'll
We
do-
need to get these.
I'll help with that.
See, I have a less of a problem with that if on one side of the road, say our side, there are people living on it. But that's why I don't like that 11th Terrace to 12th Road is, the only people who live on that aren't city residents. No city residents live on that section of road.
Well, then that's when you'd be talking about who do you annex.
Well,
And I know in the future
I-
plan, I mean,
to
that's
me-
an area that's supposed
Yeah.
to be developed to the north of.
But see,
I mean, that.
people already live on Dawson Drive who are, and that, to me, that seems to take priority. Plus, I mean, I know what you're saying about 8th Road, Jayhawk Road, other places, but that's a paved section right next to another paved section. Seems like that's one unit. I mean, treat that whole development out there like we're gonna bring them all online, the pavement at the same
So you
time.
want to add that into the engineering?
Yeah,
project, add
I'd
that.
think that section, and I don't imagine it's that crazy, it's not very far. half the distance of between 11th Terrace and 12th Road, like a quarter mile. So
Yeah, it's not.
it can't be.
Well, and it could be even, I mean, because that U's supposed to be finished out, and there's supposed to be a
Like-
road to the north, which
Oh, I know.
isn't there, and,
If
and
the
even
network
Dawson
were-
Drive's only like half, well, no,
If
it's
Dawson-
like half concrete and.
If Dawson was connected to Timber Creek, then you could be like, well, there is a paved outlet, but since that's not connected,
How far do you plan on going down?
on just to Dawson, to
What are you gonna do
the
from
south
Daw-
edge of the Dawson
What are you gonna do
intersection.
from Dawson down to where the concrete is?
I mean,
Hmm?
but the
Don's house
Dawson is
You're
part
right.
to
gravel, I
11th
think.
or
You're right.
11th Terrace
It's
is
just
dirt-
was,
dirt-
I forgot it
Well,
is.
but,
Private easement.
yeah, and the people that bought lots out there paid for their lot based on what road they had in front of it.
Okay,
That's the way I look at it.
so if they build further to the east,
It changes.
or west, excuse me,
Yep.
they'll pay for their.
If Tom's gonna pay for it, which I doubt he is, but if people wanna build out farther, then
That's
it's
true.
different.
Yeah.
It's no
Yeah, that's
different
a lot of hair
than
splitting.
North Park and Park Place and all that. When they built out there, they paid for their lot and the road. The roads are already there when people built houses out there. That's the way I look at it, so. I might be wrong. But I have a suit on. Cause my jeans are all dirty.
There's such thing as a washing machine.
Different story.
Okay, so I guess what does council want to do?
So there was a motion, was there a second?
I don't think there was a motion.
Oh, I thought you made a motion.
Nope.
I mean.
Made a
I mean,
recommendation.
yeah, I mean, we're-
He made a recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what the discussion has been is about, you know, whether or not to make a motion to approve, you know, BG to do the engineering that we laid out, and then would council want to find out additionally what it would cost to do, you know, some other sections, I guess. while we do it. I think you can just approve it without not knowing what the cost would be.
Approve, if you're gonna approve the engineering, approve the engineering. I can then ask for the other information. And then you guys can approve that when that comes up.
I make a motion to approve the engineering from BG Consultant for 11th Road, Keystone, and 12th Road.
No,
No?
not 11th Road.
Not 11th? 12th
No,
Road
not
and,
11th Road.
12th Road and Keystone.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Second.
11th Road's done this,
Yeah.
getting done this year.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
When I said that, I thought, oh, that's wrong.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0. Okay, since that's done, does anybody else have anything on the streets?
Well, I'm first.
Yeah.
Seniority. So I don't know if this belongs in street or belongs in park. I could argue either one. The parking area that's by the tennis courts down there that we talked about last meeting, there's some holes big enough down there to swallow a Volvo. Ask me how I know.
Park it there?
Can we, if we have some rock or riprap, we could dump in some of those holes. Literally, it was on its axles. So,
Well,
you
they-
know.
they
not
dump
They
great.
had a cone down there and there's only a bunch of it sticking out.
The water froze through the wheels. It was exciting getting it out.
Todd, they dump it out on 12th Road, so if you need the rock.
No, I mean, I
Sorry.
know we're gonna get that repaired, but if we can kind of, we're coming into the rainy season and those holes are invisible and they're full of water, so.
Yeah, it needs, yeah, something's wrong.
Okay, yep.
Thanks.
A few more months.
I just have 8th and Broadway streetlights.
The whole block's been out for a while. On the south side.
I wonder if they did that.
I do too.
I
I
wonder
wonder
if
if
they
they
go through.
Yeah.
It's the decorative lights that are out?
Just street lights, yeah.
Streetlights,
those-
the streetlights,
Yeah,
yeah.
the decorative ones. Yeah, I wonder if they cut our
Could have.
line
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's the whole block.
between, on 8th and Broadway.
Oh, one other street thing. I don't know, this is kind of an AT&T question, but
Yeah.
when are they gonna come fix their holes?
That was on my,
Hey, the
that was
streets
on my
open up.
to-do
That
thing
one on the
too.
corner there with just the one cone,
Yeah,
Right here.
by
if
citizens.
it got moved, and you came around there too quick,
No,
didn't know about
that's
it?
soft right there.
No.
Well, on the sidewalks all up and down there too, you know, or some
On
of
that
them's got open
backside.
holes in them and.
But that's not really, I mean, we can harp, but it's not our,
That needs to be fixed.
yeah, it needs to be get fixed, but,
We can be the squeaky wheel,
yeah.
squeaking away.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah, you're
happy.
pretty good at grabbing that
I'm-
squeaky wheel down there, Austin.
I'm glad the streets are open back up.
Yeah, see, I'm just happy the streets are actually open back.
It's kinda like good cop and bad cop.
Well, but still, they've been open before
Yeah.
I
the
know.
second group come in and they're done and out of here. And here the first group hasn't even done anything.
Right.
Well, don't get them closed up before we find out if they bored through our lights.
Yeah.
Hopefully they did not cut through something of ours, I hope.
One other street thing.
Yeah.
Why not? We had talked maybe a year, maybe longer ago, about new trash cans
Oh,
through
yeah, we did.
downtown. I think,
The guy that's,
Thought we,
and, well, the reason I bring this up is I put the lid back on one, and another one, there was some trash by it, and the lid was jammed, so I got a screwdriver out of my Jeep and I fixed it. But, I mean, they're definitely long in the tooth.
Okay. The guy in the suit, yeah.
I determined
He's been
it'd be
busy.
very expensive for us to make you guys trash.
something else on the
But
street.
we just looked at that trash can yesterday and we thought, yeah, we have an idea, so we'll see what happens.
Yes,
You're
perfect.
trying to make us trash cans?
Using the same,
Stencil type stuff.
well, not this, well, the frames that we got, yeah.
We were gonna try to cut them out of a tube, but we figured out a way that maybe we can cut them flat with micro cuts and then roll them.
Awesome.
So,
Powder coat 'em.
It'd be an
and we're not painting.
You're not
We'll
powder?
paint the metal, the wood, we're not
Oh.
doing that.
I think we need to be a brighter color so they're more,
You get red, blue, and black if you want us to paint them.
The 10th Street stoplight up here, has the wind moved that head on the top of it?
when I did before, I thought it got moved
Okay.
back, or is it?
The only reason I say that is when you're heading east, 9/10 of the time, the
Westbound
The-
turn.
turn to go north is always lit, and it stops the traffic.
Yeah, and and I thought it was the construction, but that's not
No.
there anymore.
Yeah, that's what we thought, was it was something blowing
But
around
when
the
you
wind.
pull up there, you're the first vehicle, you get your green light and the arrow every time.
I think they need maybe
I don't know if it's moved a little bit south. or-
calibrated.
I don't know, but it's
It
not.
could've
north-
moved a
The
little
north one is gotten now where it won't sense a motorcycle. It
Yeah.
did when it first went in, but now I sat there, I
You need to
timed it
drift
for
south a little
for
further.
8 minutes before I went through the light, which is legal in the state of Kansas.
Is that right?
Yes, if you wait a reasonable amount of time, a motorcycle or bicycle
Yes.
can run a stoplight.
Yeah,
if
I got
it's
yelled,
safe to do
I got
so.
yelled at once for sitting on my bike that I wanted to sit for that red light.
You just need to go south
It
and
is.
further
yelled.
in that lane and catch you every time.
So yeah, I think they're kind
I
of.
think it's turned, I
Like
think
the
I don't know if
wind.
the wind's got it or what,
That's-
but it's,
I
I
think
think
it's
it's.
Or maybe a truck hit it.
that's a possibility.
Okay, I will check with Gades and see if we can get somebody up here.
Anything else on the street? Water, wastewater? Parks and Rec?
Yes. Swimming pool, how we doing on it? It's been a long time since we talked about this subject, and it'll be here
That
before we know
time
it.
will.
Before we know
It
it.
will.
Okay, we got we have they came and replaced all the sand filters, which is great. Nice, new, clean sand is in there. Everything else is, they are planning April for the bottom of the pool, the grout, and the stabilization underneath the concrete that's,
They're on that northwest corner.
yes, that has dropped. They said there's a good chance they can bring it back up. They did not want to promise it. So I got Thrasher Foundation on the concrete stabilization. And then I have Manhattan Energy Center coming up for the grout and the bottom of the pool. So those are on the books for coming in.
Lifeguards.
We got another, we keep getting applications.
Yeah, we got them. They're the first class, or the class that I know that several of them are going to, is in March, and we have some following that, and I have a nice new big sign that I'm put up at the swimming pool on the fence, so everybody's mom and dad can see it. If you get yourself down there and apply, so you have time to be certified or recertified or whatever.
Yep.
We thought that would try a new avenue.
One other thing on the pool, I brought it up at least 3 years in a row, so welcome to year 4.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to be able to rotate the speakers so that they face north during swim meet, because they face south and people are all north, and it is hard to hear, but people in the park can hear, so that's pointless. I think if there's a way we could just loosen the bracket.
Move the bleachers around.
Well, there's got to be a way we can like loosen the bracket or spin the speaker or something. I mean, this can't be the hardest engineering challenge we've ever faced.
Probably reaching that level is probably, I forget how tall those are. I looked at
I've got a really tall ladder.
It should be, it should be relatively simple to get, once you're up there, to change it, because I've looked at them. But it's, yeah, you say you got a really tall ladder, so.
Anybody have a bucket truck?
Yeah.
Well, we've got one.
We got one of them.
It's still,
It's
I mean,
where it's at. It pretty much is going to probably have to be a tall ladder and somebody holding it.
if it wasn't down, if you guys didn't dig the hole so deep for the pool, it probably would have been better.
I'm just wanting to get ahead of it now.
Oh, you guys.
I wasn't here.
Dig a hole? You dig a hole? Oh, you did.
Oh, no.
You dig a hole? Nope.
I didn't literally have the shovel.
Turn.
I mean, I just assume we look at it before. Usually I bring it up after the swim meet, so you're right.
Which is it's always great timing.
Yeah, I know.
We can put in another set of speakers if we had.
Well, that's true as well. But it's funny because people way down in the southwest corner of town can hear every event and the times.
I can at
And
my
then
house.
you can be 10 feet on this side. The speakers
also
are
hear
very
them at the
directional.
stadium when you live down
Yeah,
there.
that's true too.
You can hear everything they do at this stadium.
I can hear the announcer at my house, football games.
Where the wind makes a big difference in my place, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anything else on Parks and Rec?
The workshop, we talked about new bathrooms for the park. If we go ahead and do that, I want to make sure it's done and completed before Mother's Day weekend, because if it's not,
Yeah.
Nope.
They'll just have to use those this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
What they were.
Yeah.
I think that project it should happen.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's something that's been needed for a lot of years.
Okay. Anything else on Parks and Rec? Cemetery and Airport? Police and Fire?
I think from the workshop, I like the idea of what the vets did for the kiosks. That was a recommendation from the supervisor, and I think we ought to just,
He's getting the price. He didn't.
yeah, I think we need to
He
move forward
told
with
me
that.
today.
Yeah.
That he was trying
So-
to get it.
You want to?
My comment.
I mean, yeah, I won't. I mean, if you want to get it on the schedule, then $20,000 to $25,000 is in the budget. If you want to.
And I think in the long term, if we do something in the chapel and have something digital, great. But right now, that's our best option to get something going.
Some squirrely signs.
Set your motion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Set your motion.
You want to make a motion up to?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So what's the motion? To move forward?
Move forward with the sign at,
The kiosk.
So the motion is to move forward with the kiosks at the city cemetery in a similar design of what the veterans have put out there.
Second.
Okay, so you wanting to authorize up to a certain amount then, or you just wanting, because he's getting a surprise, so I don't know.
What do we have budgeted for that?
45.
They should do no.
Not to exceed $45,000.
Okay.
I mean, that's simple. Simple.
Let's just hope that guy's
Very
not watching
simple.
this meeting.
I amend my motion not to exceed $45,000. I'll need another second.
Second.
Any discussion?
If it is, we'll just come back there and look at how close it is and go again.
And then we'll vote on it and say yes.
Yes, we will.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else on cemetery report?
Well, I brought up some possible patching. I know on the West Taxiway, and there's some gaps and things. Was that something we were going to talk to the contractor working on 16th Street about trying to do?
I already asked the question. They're gonna get some numbers.
Okay, good.
So we're working on that. Anything else cemetery report? Police and fire?
They down in the bathroom jet downstairs.
They were waiting on the, I don't know if they've got the door on it, and what was the other thing? There's two things.
They're
There.
getting real close.
The lockers.
Installed.
Yeah, the lockers have not been, probably not been installed, and they were waiting on the shower door. So those are the only two things we're waiting on.
Getting close.
Yes, getting close.
The speed trailer, I've been seeing it out and about lately. Is it in functional issue? I know it has had some mechanical issues. Do we know if it's got issues, or we're just?
It got rehabbed. A lot of times it needs sun constantly to keep it operational, so they probably moved it, or haven't been using it as much, because of lack of
It's behind the
power source, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll probably go out, they'll probably see
Is it
this.
I like seeing it out and about.
Yes, it's solar, yeah.
I mean, I think it does do good, and
Oh, yeah, it
rotate it
does.
around. and-
Yep.
Like, there's that one flashing light in Frankfurt, and every time I go there, I try to move so I don't have to go down that road.
Huh?
Okay. Anything else on police and fire? Admin and finance? I don't know where to bring this up, I guess, other than admin and finance. It's kind of a code enforcement thing. As I've been driving around town, I've noticed there's a lot of trees that are dead. The trunk is still there, but all the branches are gone. I'm not sure exactly what our policy is as far as dead tree trunks.
We have
Do we? There's a lot of them down around my part of town, and it's, big long enough. I mean, they've cut the branches down, or in some cases, all the branches already came down.
Okay, but I'm gonna take the argument of all the other crap in people's yard. The tree trunk is probably the least of my concern.
I'm not gonna argue
You
with
know what I
you.
mean?
I'm not gonna argue with you.
Also, I mean, a lot of times I think people might have the equipment to take the branches off, but it's a little more involved taking a trunk down.
I know.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, and you have to have
I mean,
big
and
saws.
it's hard to prioritize that when
I
you've
know.
got everything else getting more expensive all the time.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there any, have other communities done any sort of program? I don't want to say subsidized, but where you can like organize to have that kind of work done, and a lot of it where you can get a contractor to come in and help?
They have the tree lady, whatever. Kim. Yeah. Said that there are some communities that do contact a couple different people and ask if they will do it for a lesser price if they do 20 in the city, and then people will sign up for who wants to have it done. The people pay it, the city does not.
Okay.
But at least it facilitates
Yeah.
maybe the price being cheaper. Kim did tell us.
I'd be okay with
We would
facilitating it
try-
at least, yeah.
Try doing that. I mean, we can.
I mean,
see
yeah, you can,
if we can-
you know, lead a horse to water. Plus, I think a lot of people, if you're like, look, here's what our effort is, you know, we want to help get this taken care of, so you aren't incurring fines or whatever. I mean, I think most people
They get a
would
time frame that they have to
appreciate
take it
that.
down by. That's what our policy is, so yeah. that would facilitate.
So I don't know, how do you start organizing something like that?
I don't know. I'm just bringing it up because I've noticed it around town. Along with the other, the blight in general is a whole other thing about, we're kind of in the same position kind of as convention and tourism, where we've tried to kind of have a part-time person, because we don't want to pay all the benefits, but then the problem is then they aren't around for the winter time, and then it kind of gets pushed to the back burner, and then spring starts up and you're right back where you were at, or if not worse.
This is the time of year to really see how much
You can
crap
see it
is,
right,
because
you can see it right
there's
now.
nothing hiding it.
It's
Everything
right
looks
out there.
dreary anyway.
Because when will our guy, when's our guy come back? March?
Give him something to do during the winter months.
When's our? What's that?
You trying to make them unpopular?
What'd you say?
Director of Communication, give him something to do in the winter.
Well, that's the thought, but yeah, those definitely aren't very related.
Nobody
don't know
wants
if
a
that would
job
be-
because everybody's a meanie, you're picking on me and everything else. Well, people, clean your stuff up.
Well, that's why it feels like if we could find somebody to come from somewhere out of town, like, I know we'd like to hire people from Marysville. This would be a pretty good opportunity to hire somebody from not Marysville who doesn't care about burning some bridges.
Exactly.
True.
I feel like we should probably just break down and pay him full-time. Like full-time code enforcer. There's enough stuff in our
and that's-
city to be taken care of
But
12 months out of the year.
Don't you think that's kind of our duty too, as council members and?
I mean, there's a
Talk
lot
to the
more,
people
there's a
that-
lot more to it than just, I mean,
Not really, I mean, go talk to people and say, this doesn't look right. You gotta do something about this. Oh, wait, you won't get a vote. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
well,
The problem is a lot of it's
It's-
landlord driven. Or not, I shouldn't say landlord.
well, but I mean, if
The
it's,
landlords let their tenants run away with it, and it's.
Not your.
well, but the tenants should be cleaning their stuff up too. I mean,
I know.
the tenant should be not, I mean, sometimes it's on the landlord, but sometimes it's on the tenant and what they've got in the yard.
I think the counterpoint to that, though, Jeff, is that you have somebody who's an official doing it, then it kind of, they understand it's not a personality thing, it's not an opinion thing, it's the rules. Like, this is the rules of the city of Marysville. It's not, well, if I was in that ward, they wouldn't care, or
Yeah.
whatever.
And it takes a lot more time, I think, than people realize too.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, it's just, I mean, you gotta mail them out several notices. I mean, you have to go around, take pictures, document it, mail them out notices.
Is it a
see if
full-time
something
job?
happens.
Is it a three-quarter time job?
Well, that's the
What is
thing. I don't know if it's justifiably a full-time job, but at the same time, we've been trying to do this as a part-time job, and we're getting the results that we
You get part-time
want.
results,
I mean,
is what you're saying.
so, yeah. Yeah. I mean, been trying to do it as a part-time job, and I'm not sure if it's.
Tim, is this something we could contract out rather than having a full-time employee?
There are contractors out there, yeah.
Are there contractors out there in Marshall County, or are we talking like out there like?
I'm talking
Out
like
there, out
they,
there.
Well,
like they
and-
say, they sell this position out there.
Really?
Like,
Okay, so can I ask a, maybe stupid question? Will's job is code enforcement. Are we like saying like you have to do 25%? 25% of your time has to be put into this, 50% of your time has to be put into this? Like that's in his job description.
That's a good point, Lori.
But just to say that doesn't diminish the other jobs that he does.
Right.
So, and a lot of times, and I guess you can let this be an excuse, but a lot of times, city positions, they go, oh, we got another job, that guy. Just like the water department takes care of the lights down there. The cemetery department takes care of it. And all, street department takes care of that. Just gets piled onto it, and we get stuff done. But it's an effect where, I saw Will doing this. Let's just add that in there.
Well, that holds true to any job, either city, county, private job. I mean, that holds true, so you can't use that as an excuse. I'm sorry.
It's a build up over time where we got departments that catch everything.
Yep.
Yes, every other job just expands, but that doesn't mean it's right.
Well, no, but you can't use that as an excuse for not getting something done, because everybody in the world has different jobs that just get assigned to them. I guess is the way I look at it, so just my opinion.
These contractors that hang out their shingle, two questions. First, do you know of anyone who uses that around? Do you have any experience with other cities using it? And
I don't
second is,
know.
what's it cost?
Well, one of the presentations, I say presentations, the salesmanships that they had at one of the conferences was, I think it was you hired them, they assign a person to your city, they come with their vehicle and do the job. I believe it involved code enforcement. Their main goal was actually building regulation, but it was something like that. You're basically hiring somebody else's employee, and you're paying a contract rate.
You're outsourcing the frustration and anger, but I guess I have lots of questions. I mean, probably don't have answers to, which is like, how often do they come? How long do they send here? Do they come to council? How often do they send reports? Do we have any liability, weird accountability issues with outsourcing this?
Will they go to the court with you?
Yes, that's it too.
That's a big thing, because we had a couple of them that did not want to go to court that we've had here in the past.
I mean, honestly, if it's not an outrageous amount and they can guarantee results, I'm interested. Tell me more.
I think a lot of it is building in
Yeah,
respect.
I do
It's
too.
about building code more than it is about.
Well,
What about Marvin Throm and Gene Peschel?
There you go. Here's your truck,
Side
boys.
story.
I just feel like there has to be an answer. I don't know what that answer is, but there has to be.
It's not getting any better, that's for sure.
And you can go talk to every neighbor you want to, Jeff, but they don't always comply. So,
I mean, what do other communities our size, do they have dedicated employees, or do they have it as a part of an employee's job? I mean, there's other towns have challenges. I do look around when I go places, and I'm not going to throw particularly any town under the bus or anything, but some towns seem to really have it figured out, and it can't just be like a culture of that town that's doing it. That might be part of it.
That is part of it.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not giving those people any credit. No, but, I mean, you look at, I guess, Sabetha's, other towns, they obviously, you know, some of them seem to be doing it right. And so I want to emulate that a little bit. Like, I'd like to know how they do it, or, you know, how they administer it.
Seneca, Sabetha?
Yeah. Seneca, Sabetha, even somewhere a little like, you know, Clay Center or somewhere like that, I'd be curious.
Well, wait a minute, Clay Center, they got chickens.
They got a brewery, they got a brewery too, they got it going on. I mean, I'm curious.
Could have a code enforcement / animal control person.
Yeah.
If we could rationalize.
Probably be a couple
animal-
departments that would love to get that responsibility on somebody else.
I would add a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
As we're looking to add positions.
It's not in your budget.
That's something we need to consider.
Anyway, I didn't mean to stir up the whole thing.
Yeah, you
But I know, but I just have noticed here lately when I've been, and right now, it's probably gonna be more noticeable once the trees all start to green up and then there's just like dead. Well, no, it might stick out more, but I've noticed there's a lot of trees that are,
I'm waiting to see what happens on that one that, in the green space next to me.
Oh.
That Stoll cut down 3/4 of it, and there's a big limb hanging, if it's gonna green up or not.
I noticed, I mean, this not necessarily germane to this, city crew's been doing a good job of making sure all of our city properties are cleaned up here lately especially, which is good. I mean, I think that's leading by example.
yeah, I think they're still trying to get caught up. I mean, there's just so much stuff that got
They got a lot of them cleaned up though, all the trees are trimmed up on most of them
Yeah.
and stuff, so.
And that's,
that to me looks good.
yeah, and they've been able to work hard because, I mean, I'd like to plug this in, because the council's been buying them nice equipment, so it's.
I thought you were gonna say because it hasn't been snowing.
No, I we don't want to bring up snow. That was in the forecast this week, I think.
It's called south of us.
So, yeah, so they're not working on fixing equipment, they get to go out and actually do work, so that's another positive to that. So.
Anything else
Did you
on
walk
that?
down your alley tonight?
No, but I have a couple times since then. It's much.
They're working on it today.
Oh, yeah, well, they worked by the parking there that where odds parked their vans. That had gotten really grown up. It looks much better. It's good. It's a heck of a job.
Anything else on M and Finance? Okay. Appointments, we don't have any appointments or anything. John, do you have anything for us?
Like 5 minutes, please,
Oh, okay,
for litigation purposes.
okay. Got that?
I got it. I'm giving it to Kyle.
I move the city council recess into executive session for consultation with an attorney on matters deemed privileged in an attorney-client relationship about litigation or claims against the city to KSA 75-4319B2. This meeting will include the mayor, city council, city administrator, and city attorney. The open meeting will resume in the city council chamber at 8:55.
On these 5 minutes.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
Thanks, turning.
Yay.
Thanks.
like a middle school vice principal.
You want
Calls meeting back to order. No binding decisions were made. We'll continue on with the meeting as scheduled.
I guess it'd be roundtable discussion. I don't have anything further.
Okay. I guess, and I kind of was behind this, I guess, but we've had conversations with our attorney about the lake. And in my mind, I wanted to have it written down. I mean, instead of just a verbal back and forth, kind of what the attorney's opinion was in regards to the city's case with everything dealing with the lake. It is confidential, but the council can, if they choose, make it public. And I guess what's council's opinions on that?
I mean, we make it public.
Yeah, I make a motion that we make the document that was presented to us public.
Okay.
And allow people to, well, just not public. The document.
He said he could see.
No longer confident.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I have a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
So you're gonna give it to Chris?
She can have mine if she wants it. You want a copy of what the lawyer's opinion?
I was gonna say, I've got mine too, if you want to keep yours.
Are you gonna read it or not? I don't know.
Do you want to read it out loud?
Assume you should.
We need to read it?
So the public would know.
They'll have it in the paper. It'll be.
Well, she's gonna print the whole thing. It doesn't have to be read, but, it's up to you.
It would have to be read.
Okay, read it.
How about this? You wanna summarize it? I mean,
That might be easier. I mean, I can read the full 2 pages.
I did prepare a resolution. It kind of, it follows that resolution I did, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And we've continued to dig. We found aerial photographs. It's really a country club lake we're talking about, Lake Road, excuse me. We got photographs of it now. And so there's 2 prongs. This area was flooded back probably in 1930-ish. And if that's a taking, that's when the taking occurred. And then after that, it was public access. Even a roadway was down there. And what the attorney is outlining here is that legally, it's really the city's property. And if you want to clear the title issue, you can do that. And there's always a backdrop with the right for a city to take property for public property purposes. So the council has a full range of things. If you want to make it, if you want to avoid these title issues in the future, you can do something now, or you don't have to do anything and just see what happens. I mean, but it outlines it, and then there's a fishing contract. The attorney outlines it really well, and I agree with it. It's basically, it's supposed to be unrestricted access to the lake. And it was for a while with that Country Club Lake Road. There was actual road, so kind of lays out a bottom line and factual allegations, and if you can couple that with a resolution, you know, you're on solid legal footing. I'm just disappointed that we couldn't meet and talk to anybody, and we just, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Thank you, John.
That's the best summary I could give. I mean, it really speaks for itself.
Okay. Any further discussion about that?
So are you gonna adopt a resolution?
I don't think it's ready to come up. I need
No,
to
this
revamp
was
it.
just
Sorry.
basically making public the legal opinion, I guess, when it comes in regards to the lake.
And I did, that was 2 or 3 months ago. I need to update it now. I mean, it should be characterized as a lake road. I mean, that's what we found out, so.
I guess we'll move on to roundtable. Todd?
get your cats and dogs registered in the next couple weeks.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
The Knights of Columbus are holding a dance at the Venue 36 this Saturday. The proceeds will go towards the relief fund locally for people that are coming through town, need a little help. So, Tim Strathman, really good music, good people out of town that are going to be playing too. So, doors open at 7:30 and band starts at 8. Hopefully, Marysville wins sub-state.
Okay, Lori?
Memorial Day wreath. Do we have one?
You want a new one?
No, I'm just wondering because, you know, last year I went to the service and nobody from the city put a wreath out there, so. If nobody else will do it, I will. I just didn't know if we
I've
had
been in
one.
years past, I can't remember what
Yeah, I
I
don't know
even,
why
I
I
had
would've
something,
Okay.
I can't remember what it
Usually someone does
I
do
wasn't
it.
there
Okay,
that time.
okay.
From the council, so, yes.
Okay, yep, that's all I got. I don't mind doing it, I just.
I make a
noticed
motion by
last-
unanimous consent that Lori is in charge of the Memorial Day wreath from now on.
So moved.
Second.
Keith?
There seems to be quite a bit of dog waste along the Blue River Trail that people ain't taking care of. You know, it seems to be a lot more every time you go down there. Just
Are you talking down here?
In the park?
No, up there, up where the trail, so we don't own that part.
well, I know,
You
but
mean-
I'm
okay.
putting this out there.
Sure, that's why I wanted to make sure you were talking about we needed to clean it up.
Al? Nothing? No. Nothing?
I have nothing
Kevin?
either.
I got one more thing, I guess, to bring up. And this is just kind of, I've been thinking the last few weeks, and it seems like every time we have a meeting, another project or two gets brought up. And I'm not saying they aren't all great projects, but at some time we probably ought to just sit down as a group and write down all these different projects, whether it's bathrooms or I mean, I can't even, I could fill a full page probably with different projects. And they're all good projects, but at some time we probably need to sit down as a group and figure out like what's our top 5. I'm just saying this because I remember when I first got on council, one of the classes that they had, they said that the trap you can get into when you get on council, and I can too, is that you get a lot of phone calls and you start chasing every shiny object. And sometimes when you're trying to get everything done, sometimes you don't get anything done, if that makes sense. And we won't have enough money for so many projects.
Could we create some sort of spreadsheet broken out by department and just have that part of the,
Probably good.
yeah.
It just, I mean, we've got a lot of different, whether it's, you know, bathrooms at the ballpark or bathrooms at
Yeah.
the park or.
But a lot of them are like the bathrooms at the park where we're not something we're gonna do anything about right now, so it's easy for them to slip back.
Yeah.
But I just thought if we had them on a spreadsheet that we could review regularly and discuss.
It would
Kinda keeps
probably
them in
be,
front of
it
us.
would probably be easier, because sometimes you forget, they get brought up and then you forget about them.
Wasn't that why we have a planning session to kind of put those ideas out there and then Austin
We
puts
do.
it together for us?
We do. but
So
I'm
I
just-
don't know if we've gone above and beyond that, honestly.
No, I'm just saying is, you know, as we have meetings and as I sit here, it just, every meeting, it seems like another 2 or 3 things kind of get thrown out. And like I say, they're all great ideas, but we need to sit down as a council because we can't afford to do all of them. So we figure out, or have the bandwidth probably to do all of them, but figure out like what's our top.
Well, I guess,
This is for sure, you know, maybe these bathrooms aren't good and these ones aren't good, but which bathrooms are the ones we want to get done in the next year or two?
but what I would say there, that's where you drive the agenda. So I'll leave it at that.
No, I wish I could drive it.
Saying.
And I guess that's where I'm asking is just, I guess the next couple weeks, I guess the home, and I hate giving homework or saying homework, but maybe kind of everybody just write down just the things that they can think of that they have brought up. And we need to compile like a little list.
Addition
maybe.
to the cemetery shop should be on the list.
Well,
You need to
I
make
mean,
that
that's
on the
another
list.
one, and I mean, you know, an event area downtown, I mean, if I sit here, I could probably list 50 of them if I just had time.
Might as well put our big projects into that too. You know, we got C-Club, we got 11th Road.
Oh, those two, and I mean, those are pretty well taken care of with the budgeting process. I'm talking the kind of more wish listy stuff.
The extra stuff.
Yeah,
The above
the
and beyond.
stuff that isn't necessarily in the budget stuff.
Are all of the council minutes searchable? Like,
Oh, yeah.
keyword searchable? I mean,
I don't know
if
about
you really
that.
want to go wild with this idea, and get really data rich, you can create columns for when they were first brought up,
Oh,
columns
some
for
have been years
progress
and
years, ballpark dollar
Do the
figures,
indexes.
rounded to, you know, whatever. I mean, it'd be cool to have all of this in it.
Well,
Keep
I mean,
saying spreadsheet,
and I'm
but-
just because sometimes it seems like something gets brought up and then you kind of look into it and then it just dies. And like one example would be like Lakeview,
Yeah,
and
that's what I
we were
was
talking
just
about
gonna say.
bathrooms. We were also talking about like a press box and stuff, and then it just kind of.
We used to have on the back of our agenda, like, tabled items, kind of.
But those
list.
weren't tabled.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
these aren't
the-
tabled, but that kind of
those are
idea
just-
where it's just becomes automatic that we get it in front of us.
Yeah,
I mean,
like I say,
this could be huge.
these are more kind of discretionary projects, and they're things that a lot of times get just brought up at round table or brought up on, and they get kind of looked into, and then they get kind of forgotten sometimes. Or sometimes you look into it enough and you go, oh, I don't want to spend that much money, and then it kind of drops.
Well, and on
I'm
the,
just
on the
saying.
on the reverse side of that, I think we get some of the frustration on this side where we got all these projects, council's talked about them, we've got them all approved, and now all of a sudden this other priority comes up and it's like, we gotta get that done. And we don't want it to get to where, okay, well, you told us to do that, but we have all this other stuff done, and eventually sometimes it'll go, well, why didn't you get that done? And then while we're working on that, why didn't you get that done?
Easy
We just don't-
solution, just do everything everywhere all the time.
I'd love, if you show me that.
Omniscience is in your job description. Look into it.
I will look, hold on, God, I'm making a note. But I think that's one of the frustrating, when me and Jason have been talking about this sort of thing, it's like, okay, you guys have set our budget, and we've talked about it at lengths, and just to have like one council meeting where it's like, oh, I heard 3 people complain about this, and we need to get that done. But we also need to get these other things done. Not to say that idea, like Jason said, is a bad idea.
No, I mean, they're all, I haven't ever heard one of them that I can
Yeah.
think of that wasn't something that definitely, I mean, that needs addressed. But
Yeah.
It's just figuring out what's your, I mean, just like your personal budget, it's figuring out, you know,
I
which you need
think
more,
that's
the car,
That's a
the
very
furniture,
valid point.
whatever.
But we have some very small level things that have been brewing for a couple years now.
And that's
And
that
those
need to
aren't the
get
ones.
taken care of.
And those aren't the
And
ones.
I think if those kind of things got taken care of, people might not be coming to us and talking all the time about what about this, what about that, what about this.
Oh, no, there's always plenty more.
I mean, they will. But think of the Kester House, the pool, those little things.
Those are not the one, I mean, that's not what I'm talking more those projects that are like the $50,000 to $100,000, $150,000, I mean, they're, you know, like bathrooms at the park. I mean, they're not small jobs, they're not huge jobs, and they're things that need to be done, but yet we can't do 5 of them in 1 year, you know, necessarily either.
Well, just to borrow your kind of metaphor with the family budget thing, though, then there's lots of little projects. I'm going to say speakers at the swimming pool that are little projects. So do we want to do 2 mediums, or do we want to do 20 little projects?
Oh, and that's a
You know, that's the
discussion.
thing, too.
I mean, that's a discussion
And
to
it's
have,
more.
too. Is do you want to try and do a $200,000 job or for $50,000? I mean,
Right, which may spread the impact and positive impact, and people see more. That's the trouble with big projects, is that inevitably not everyone's going to feel impacted, and then they're going to say we're not doing anything.
true. That's
So, like I said, everything everywhere all the time. That's the solution.
That is the solution.
Hustle culture.
I agree with that.
that's all I had.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?